Hey everybody, welcome to the Cliff Yates Show. As always, you are in the right place, and today's episode is titled, Protect Your Peace, Claim Your Power. I really didn't know what today's episode was going to be about. I was kind of searching in my mind what today's topic was going to be, and I knew I had to make sure I got it done because we are over 60 weeks, everybody. We have not missed a week. Over 60 weeks, we've added a couple bonus episodes in there, so we're well over one a week in our podcast, hopefully giving you great value. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the show. If you're listening and or watching on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel because it tells the computer, hey, people are interacting with the show. And you know what? Some of you have been taking action, leaving comments, and you've been sharing the show. Thank you very much. Protect your peace and claim your power because we've had it all along. And we really do have to protect our peace, don't we? We have to protect it. It's up to us. Only we can do it. We are the gatekeepers in that, specifically because of what's going on around us today in the world. I can imagine with your own family, communities, and then paying attention to the chaos that seems to be happening in this amazing election year. So we're going to have all sorts of chaos and news that is pulling us in different directions. So we have to protect our peace. And that doesn't mean disengaging from the world and what's going on, but it does mean taking control of, well, we have two things: what we give out to others and what we allow in from the outside. Total control over those things, and that's why we can protect our peace, because we can control those things. We can put up boundaries, we can put moats around our life and allow a drawbridge to what we have coming to us. I was thinking, how do I tie in that we really can't be totally disengaged to the point where, hey, you didn't know this was happening? You know, totally turning away from, although we have, as Team Yates has done, totally turned away from Main Street or Lame Street media news outlets, and we're going to more independent and taking different aspects and different perspectives from people who are in the know, and we're gaining I think a better handle on what actually is the truth by taking different sources, tying them in together, and really testing where we're getting the information that we're getting. But getting back to not totally sticking your head in the sand, right? You don't want to be caught. Weren't you aware this was happening? Weren't you, didn't you know this was coming? Weren't you paying attention? So we want to be aware of what's going on. This is what I try to do, is take balance in knowing what's going on, while at the same time putting limits and boundaries so that we can keep advancing in all the other areas of our lives without going down those rabbit holes, which will eat away at our time totally. So there is a balance there to keep up on things, stay focused on our own life, right? So we want to have a positive impact and total control first over our own household, right? We got to pay attention to those things, right? The heating, air conditioning, and those things and all the systems in our house. We want to be on top of those things and keeping those in top working order, paying attention and being aware of what's going on in our own community, whether it's the neighborhood or where we're in a condo complex, knowing what's going on with the community, with the complex, with maintenance, keeping an eye out, testing everything and looking, talking to people, interacting with the community, knowing what's going on in our cities or towns and villages, then branching out with our knowledge, paying attention to the county, the country, the nation, the world to a certain extent. Once again, we're going to have to put up those barriers, and we're going to have to determine for ourselves what is the proper amount to be doing that. And we'll be in different seasons of our lives where we may be paying attention more at one time and paying less during another time when other things are taking up our time. And so we really want to take control of what's coming in and what we're putting out there. Those are the two things that we have total power of, and we can protect our peace by doing that. And I came up with an example today when I was thinking about paying attention and listening to the news, or whether I shouldn't listen to it. I went to the dermatologist this morning, and I was being very conscious of my appointment time. I knew if I got there on time and I was out within a certain amount of time. I had to get the car. We're down to one vehicle back to my wife, who had an appointment to get her blood work done. So I wanted to make sure that I was on schedule. And so I was way ahead of time, so I really didn't need to send a message, but I checked my phone prior to leaving the dermatologist, and I saw that I saw it prior to going in, and it was on that SOS, meaning there was no connection to the internet, nothing, no 5G. I made sure I'm not on Wi-Fi. I'm not searching for a Wi-Fi signal, but I'm SOS, which means I was SOL, shit out of luck as far as being able to call out with my phone or connect to the internet in any way. No problem. Went into my appointment, came back out, got in the car, and so then saw that I was way ahead of schedule so that I could just, maybe if I have to send a message, or maybe Alba sent me a message, I'll check my phone, still SOS. And I thought, well, maybe it's the phone and my connection. Check to make sure the cellular was on. And I then turned my phone off, rebooted it back up, and still no connection. So I thought, well, maybe I didn't leave it off for the proper amount of time. So I turned it off again, waited a few minutes, and then I rebooted it up, and nothing. So still SOS. And I thought, well, I'll just drive home, and then along the way, maybe I'm in an area where I'm between cell towers. Sometimes that area where the dermatologist is, you can't connect. Drove down the road on the way home, glanced at the phone, I'm still not connected. So I put on the local news guy, Joe Peggs, he has a national syndicated radio show, but he talks about local news going on. First thing he says is, well, we don't know if we're getting a lot of phone calls in, but apparently AT&T is out nationwide in certain cities. There's no connection. No, people can't use their phone. And so that actually gave me a little bit of peace, that I knew, okay, there's an answer for that. There's a reason other than me. It's not my phone. There's nothing going on with me or the system of my phone. So it actually gave me some peace, paying attention to what's going on around me. So by checking in on the news, it gave me an answer to what I was struggling with at that time. So that's why sometimes we do need to check in. Hey, what's happening in the world, in my community, in my nation, in my county, country, community. And so that worked out today. It answered some frustration that was building because, wow, my phone is not working. Am I going to have to go to an AT&T store? Am I going to have this thing fixed somehow? And then to realize, okay, it's not me or the system, it's something that's going on. And maybe it was a cyber attack on AT&T. I think we're going to find out later today. That's going to be interesting to find out. So protect your peace. You know if you're getting overloaded, you should have a thermostat on your life, whether you're involved in too much is going on, you're allowing too much in, you're saying yes to too many people. Learning to say no, one of my things that I struggle with, saying no. If someone really needs me or asks me, I feel flattered and honored, and I want to respond in a positive way and say, yes, I will do it, I will help you, I will be there. And sometimes we, talking about me, have to learn how to say no. And so I'm working on that, but that will protect your peace when you need to be in control of how much chaos, or not even chaos, just how much you're letting in or being pulled in other directions. Take care of yourself. As I always say on this show, being selfish as far as keeping yourself healthy in a positive mindset and able to help other people, but focusing first on keeping yourself healthy, putting your mask on first before you put the mask on others, as the airlines tells you to do. So important to do. And that's going to be one reason why you want to control your peace. And that is another way of claiming your power, goes right along with that. Because if you're controlling the peace in your life, you are able to utilize the power that you have internally. And we are in total control of that. And no one else can take away our power without our permission. Something we need to keep and say to ourselves all the time. So let's keep our peace, protect our peace, claim our power, realize that it's us, CEO of our lives. No blame game, nobody else. It's our choices, our decisions, how we react to everything that's going to determine most of the circumstances in our life. It really comes back to something we talk about a lot on the podcast here, and it's the power of your questions. right? It really comes down to questions. And I took some notes today. I was watching a podcast, Mr. Brad Lee, who I often recommend. He's a I call him a business tycoon out of Las Vegas, but he has a great podcast, dropping truth bombs. Brad Lee, check him out. And he had a great a former football player as a guest, and they were really talking about, and they kind of alluded to the questions. I'll add it in, though, but as I always say, the power of your questions, because your mind will always be searching for an answer that you ask for. All you have to do is change that question. Your mind's going to search for the answer. So if it's a powerful question, an empowering question, your brain's going to be looking for that. So you can start asking yourself in any situation, what's good about this? Instead of, why am I such an idiot? Why did this happen? Who's against me? Why somebody's trying to ruin me? No, what's good about this? Through every adversity, there's an equal or greater opportunity, and I find that true. It's been true for the past 25 years that I've been empowering myself with those kind of questions. What's good about this? One thing the guest said on Brad's podcast was, be loyal to your principles, and I'm adding values instead of people. Be loyal to your principles and values instead of people. That's so easy to do. It'll keep you consistent in your thoughts and actions regardless of what other people do in reaction to what you're saying and doing. If you are loyal to your principles and not people, you will be consistent in how you speak and act. And you can find truth in this if you may get a response from someone who's thanking you. Thank you so much for what you did. I'm so indebted to you for the service that you gave to me, and you went above and beyond. And you wouldn't want to say to this person, well, I really wasn't. It was more for my values than it was for you. I was doing what I knew was the right thing to do for me. So you're being loyal to your values, but it's going to give better service to others, and you'll be more consistent in doing that when you're doing it for values and not for individual people. Although in the end, it'll be serving others at a better quality. For instance, I've habituated. I've got in the habit now of always, I take my grocery cart and I replace it right in the tunnel, in the holder. No matter where I am or what the circumstances are, I've become, so habituated to doing that I know if I didn't do it, something would be wrong. But someone could come up to me, maybe somebody who works at the grocery store. You know what? Every time you come shopping here, I've taken notice. You always put your cart away. I appreciate it so much. No matter what the weather is or what's happening, you take the time, and I've watched you put your cart away, even if you're parked a long ways away. Now, that's nice to get those accolades and to get those affirmations from somebody else, but I do it for me. I'm doing it for my own values and principles that I've established for myself. I'm being loyal to my values. Now, other people are going to benefit from that. The guy who has to put the carts away, he's benefiting from it. He happened to have seen it. But I'm doing it loyal to the values, regardless if anybody was even there watching. But that's a good way to keep yourself on track, is also pretend somebody is always watching, and that'll keep you on track to being loyal to your values. You come up with your own little hacks that'll keep you on track to being loyal to your values and principles. But that is a hack in and of itself, and I'm adopting that today, by the way. Those hacks will keep us consistent and easily able to habituate good thoughts and good actions. And we can do that at any time with anything. If you can be consistent doing bad things, if you can habituate bad habits, that's kind of redundant, but if you have bad habits, guess what? You can empower good habits. You can be consistent in doing good things. We just need to take that control, and we can, and I want you to do it. Keep yourself on track, becoming a philosopher. Make that part of your life's mission, to become your own philosopher. What does philosophy mean? Lover of wisdom. You want to always be gaining new wisdom, new insights, new thoughts that are going to empower you. And it sounds kind of pie in the sky or bookwormish to think of yourself as a philosopher, but if you think of yourself as someone who is always seeking knowledge to make yourself a better person, when you do that, you at the same time make yourself better to those who are around you, and they benefit from it. Another thing that I learned today, or I memorized today from Bradley's podcast, and as always, I always share, always the information is the most important thing. The idea that can help you in your life is the most important idea, but I always like to give credit where credit is due, where I got it from. Maybe because I've heard so many people quote something, or they put stuff out there that's good information, nothing wrong with it, and I probably shouldn't be critical of them saying it, but they kind of make it their own. And later on I learned, oh, that's something that Jesus said out of the Bible, or that's someone said in 1848. And so that I know, well, they kind of portrayed it as their own insight or their own ideas. I always try to tell you where I got the information from and give the credit where credit is due, as I said. So today, Bradley, he said, don't change the way you treat people, change the people you treat. I like that. It's a good quote. You can use it. You can take it. You can make it your own if you want, or you can give Bradley the credit that I got it from, or you can say, Cliff Yates shared this with me, even though he got it from somebody else. Don't change the way you treat people, change the people you treat. I guess that's another way of saying get around the right people, and you won't be casting your pearls on swine. So the guest that Bradley had on his show was Trent Shelton. Trent Shelton. Check him out. I'm going to go check out his channel. He's got several books out. One of them has to do, that's coming out in early March, about claiming your peace. And he was a professional football player, and now he's really faith-based in having a positive impact on other people. And I think he said totally his followers are in excess of 15 million. So he has quite the platform for his messages. So I'm going to be checking him out, Trent Shelton. But when he was talking about the two things that we are total control of, what we allow in and what we put out to the world, I was thinking of a Tony Robbins teaching that I learned 25 years ago, which was when people try to bring us negativity, or they try to take our power away, or otherwise have an effect on our state of mind. And Tony used to use the metaphor of, if someone gives you a gift, they bring you a gift and you refuse to accept it, who owns it? They own it. You don't. So if someone comes to you with that gift of negativity, or they're trying to distract you or otherwise derail you from what you're trying to get done, then you can refuse to accept that. Let them own it. You're not taking it. You're on the right path. And as always, you're in the right place. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel if you're listening on a podcast platform. And we're everywhere. We're on iTunes. We are on Amazon Music, Spotify. Listen, check the show out no matter where you're at. And if you're listening or watching on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are gaining an army of positive impactors. And, I appreciate you. I love you. Subscribe, like, and share it with somebody needs to hear the message. I love you, and I'll see you in the next episode. This is The Cliff Yates Show.